Welcome back to Route Double. We're in the present now. And it looks like, well, I decided to take Penna's route first. Trouble occurred. Watase was climbing the elevator shaft. One of the ladder's stairs broke off. Someone cocked a gun. Ah! Immediately afterwards, an intense shock ran from Watase's back to the crown of his head, instantly robbing him of his consciousness. Once he woke up, only Enna was there. Watase and Enna resumed the search, chasing after Ukita, who had gone ahead. But Ukita was already nowhere to be found. Oh. There were no results in the effort to rejoin with Ukita, so the search continued, eventually ending at the reference room. Watase looked towards one of the bookshelves inside and found it to be tightly packed with books and theses. Introduction to the Informational Field Theory. Author Miyoko Tenkawa. Elementary Particles, Information, and Consciousness. Author Miyoko Tenkawa. ESP Synchronization Hypothesis. Author Antoine Courbet. Translator Miyoko Tenkawa. Cerebrum, Labyrinth of Psychology. Author Ryokin Kashiwagi. Unbinding from Pseudoscience. Future and Prospects of Parapsychology. Author Koki Sumida. For Crime After Days. Author Chikage Sonomura. Particles, the Mind, and the Brain. Author Shuya Eraguchi. A lot of these seem to be written by Mom, but Informational Field? ESP Synchronization? What on earth is Mom researching? Are these things related to nuclear power research? As if influenced by the curiosity of Natsuhiko's consciousness, Watase picked up the book, An Introduction to Informational Field Theory. Author Miyoko Tenkawa. Forward. In modern physics, all phenomena that shape the natural world can be explained with four fundamental forces. There are four phenomena such as the accelerating universe and so on that cannot be explained by these four fundamental forces alone. It's become clear from recent high-precision observation that the rate at which the universe expands accelerates with time. It is from that survey that the theory of an unknown energy known as dark energy, repulsive gravity, was born. But if dark energy supposedly does exist, then what is it? Various conjectures have been conceived, but they are all merely speculation. Thus I continued to look into that force from the perspective of an elementary particle physicist, and formulated a hypothesis. Could it be information? If a fifth fundamental force does indeed exist, there's a high possibility that it is, in fact, information. I used a numerical formula to express the equivalence of information, volume, and energy. Then after deriving its value, I discovered that said value completely matched up with the rate of universal expansion. In other words, dark energy. I don't really get it, but Mom seems to think its true form is information. Huh. Now to think about it, Professor Tsubakiyama said that information is a type of energy during her lecture too, didn't she? What is this thesis trying to say, then? The following conjecture is based off this theory. Even information itself can exist independently, can possibly interact, be conveyed, without the use of other forces as an intermediary. For example, since a human's thoughts are a type of information, they can communicate with others without the need for those thoughts to be converted into another medium, such as electrical signals. This is a somewhat extreme expression I am using there, but this is the gist of the informational field hypothesis. Informational field is the place where information operates as the fifth fundamental force / energy. If we were to consider this by using the human brain as an example, the information field generated from thought information may in fact be what we call the consciousness. Information itself can exist independently. That the first part of this formed what we now know as BC. Brain-to-brain communication. Humans' thoughts can communicate directly with others without the need for those thoughts to be converted into another medium. This is pretty much BC. So, informational field theory can exist independently. Kind of like what Natsuhiko's doing right now. It's still unclear as of this point as to the process that creates a consciousness what the process that creates consciousness entails. All we do know is that a consciousness is generated inside the brain when countless memories equals fragments of information, and electrical signals running through the synapses interact. However, another conjecture can be formed, do you think, on that basis of this hypothesis. Information can exist independently, that means a consciousness does not necessarily have to form in a brain. A fixed amount of information gathers in one spot and interacts with each other, consciousness can be born right then and there. Furthermore, if information can be controlled, then it should also be possible to artificially create a consciousness. Artificially create a consciousness? Can't see how that research has anything to do with nuclear power science. No, wait, maybe I'm mistaken. LABO's full name is the 6th Laboratory of Atomic and Biological Organization, right? Maybe Mom wasn't researching the atomic part, but the biological part. In conclusion, the various theories laid out in the informational field hypothesis have yet to be proven, but this thesis has been reappraised into a form I never once expected. This is all due to a rapid yet drastic change that has recently swept society. That change is the manifestation of BC. The ability known as BC has been widely acknowledged by society in the last few years. It can be said that this has resulted in mindsets toward the nature of information, ways of communication to undergo tremendous changes. We've also discovered countless people who possess this ability that we never would have conceived as feasible mere years ago. The abilities of BC can generally be classified into two groups. The first one is telepathy, the ability to directly send your thoughts to another's mind. The other is empathy, the ability to read the voice of another's mind. Describing these two abilities with these extremely coherent terms, we can explain them separately. When BC is used, the user's thought information is not converted into another medium. They communicate with their target by sending that thought information directly into their target's brain, using elementary particles as an intermediary. This matches up with what I proposed in my informational field theory hypothesis. Two completely unrelated fields of study, parapsychology and elementary particle physics, are connected by BC. Furthermore, while telepathy practitioners are still few, empathy practitioners are even rarer. But the true number of users is not what's important here. It's the fact that an ability such as empathy exists. And also the fact that the existence of information known as the voice of the mind can be observed by others despite previously being unknown to those other than the thinkers themselves. This is indeed the first and biggest paradigm shift of the 21st century. She's suddenly talking about BC now. Getting a consciousness, nuclear power, biology, BC. How do these four things connect? As Natsuhiko harbored that question, Watase suddenly spoke up.
Sensei, ここに書いてあることは本当か?
え?
このエンパシーって能力は本当にあるのか?
ええ、言っていなかったかしら。BC は離れたところにいる人と意思を伝え合う能力と言ったわよね。相手に心の声を伝えるだけではなくて、読み取ることもできるの。
Various doubts suddenly rose up within Watase's mind. Why did Yuuri disappear? Why did Sally run away? Why haven't the other three survivors been found yet? The strongest thought in Watase's mind was,
もしあの子供たちに人の心を読む力があるんだとしたら、子供たちが逃げるのは俺たちの中に彼らへの悪意を持った人間がいるからなんじゃないのか。
Natsuhiko was frightened by the conclusion Watase was drawing towards. There was an extremely high probability that the girl who called herself Yuuri was a communicator. It was most likely true that Yuuri and Sally were running away from someone who hated them. The only thing Watase was missing was the self-awareness that the one who hated them was none other than himself. Crap, if Watase realizes that fact... Oh, time to break your mind again.
コミュニケーターは人間じゃない。心を侵食する怪物だ。これは怪物退治だ。やらなければやられるぞ。殺せ！殺せ!
Forget it. Natsuhiko's consciousness vividly recalled the hatred and murderous intent he had seen within Watase back then. Damn it, I need to do something about Watase's memory right away. As soon as Natsuhiko tried to interfere with Watase's memory... Watase was suddenly struck by an intense headache. Why? I haven't even done anything yet. That's when Enna noticed Watase was acting strange.
どうしたの隊長さん。
いや、急に気分が。
大丈夫？
悪い。トイレに行ってくる。先生はここで待っててくれ。
ちょっと隊長さん。
Watase shook off Enna's voice of concern and flew out of the reference room. Then he rushed into a nearby restroom. No matter how much he washed his face with cold water, Watase's headache would not subside. Watase even spewed out gastric juices, leaving Natsuhiko confused. Are these effects of radiation? Maybe Watase himself doesn't want to remember. He's refusing to remember that he was full of malice. This is the result of that rejection. Watase's own feelings of intense confusion were propagated to Natsuhiko.
くそ、考えることが多すぎる。人の心が読める化け物がいるかもしれないなんて。
That's not good. As soon as Watase had that thought, a bizarre spectacle flickered before his eyes. What was that? What was that? Don't tell me Watase's memories are threatening to return. In shock, Natsuhiko strongly appealed to Watase.
もういい、Kasasagi Watase。そのことについて深く考えるな。
But it had the opposite effect.
まさかこの幻聴、俺を操ろうとしているんじゃ。
A little bit.
いや、もしかすると俺はずっと誰かに操られてきたんじゃないのか。だとすると俺が今まで俺だと思ってきたものは何なんだ。
Damn it, Watase, you're starting to jump at shadows. Watase looked at his reflection in the mirror as if it weren't even his own face.
くそ、俺は何を誰を信じりゃいいって言うんだ。
Oh crap, at this rate he won't even be able to continue the search, will he? Natsuhiko felt an impending sense of danger, but then...
考えすぎなんだよ、私は。考えすぎると臆病になって何にも考えられなくなっちゃうよ。
Inside the mirror was the face of a girl unfamiliar to both Natsuhiko and Watase. Eh? What's going on? Is this bastard hallucinating? No, could this just be another flashback of a past memory? Watase's mind suddenly reclaimed its composure.
考えすぎてはダメか。
That calm whisper, Watase shut off the water. What just happened? Don't tell me. Natsuhiko recalled the words Watase had said when he was a murderer.
お前に大事なお友達がいるように、俺にも誰より大切な奴がいたんだよ。弱っちいけど一生懸命で、バカだけど優しくて、俺にとっちゃ光そのものだったんだ。
Was that girl Watase's embodiment of light? Watase suddenly saw her, then. Does that mean my frequent manipulation of his memories had only made them all more easy to recover? Watase left the restroom. He didn't seem distracted in the slightest. Natsuhiko couldn't help but feel a little uneasy about him. Immediately after that, Watase witnessed Enna speaking with Salio. Then, like raging waves, things kept happening one after another.
エナ、あの隊長という男には気をつけて。あの男は危険。
おい、それはどういう意味だ。
待ちなさい、佐野宮さん。
待ってくれ。
Two of them rushed to chase her, but what they found wasn't Salio.
今の音は。
あっちだ。行こう、先生。
However, they spotted what appeared to be a trail of Salu's blood.
追いましょう、隊長さん。
あ、
But at the end of their mad dash was...
これは輸血用血液パック。
どうしてこんなものが。
It's a trap! Just then, someone locked them inside the emergency stairwell. Watase discovered a time bomb hidden in a fire extinguisher. Bomb's countdown commenced.
開きやがれ、この野郎!
Watase desperately screamed, but the door wouldn't open. It's no good. As soon as Natsuhiko thought that,
隊長さん、どいて。
Eh? Why does Professor Tsubakiyama have a gun? Natsuhiko was astonished, but Anna calmly raised her voice.
早く扉を蹴破って、早く。
Calmly. Watase kicked down the fire doorway in accordance with Enna's command. The two of them ran away from the bomb.
先生、伏せろ!
The blast never came. Trap bomb, gun, dud. The quick succession of events left Natsuhiko dumbfounded. It was then that Jun and Okita came rushing in one after another.
あ、隊長、それに椿山さんも。
妙な音が聞こえたが、何があったのかね?
Watase looked at Enna's hands in surprise to see the black luster of her pistol.
椿山さん。
拳銃？それどうしたの?
But Natsuhiko's surprise was incomparable to theirs. Why would Professor Tsubakiyama have a gun? His doubts about Enna rapidly deepened. She didn't offer Natsuhiko, Mashiro, and Salu any help when they asked for her cooperation. Mashiro said that she wasn't opening her heart to them. While that may have been true, it wasn't as if Natsuhiko had grown to hate Enna. In Natsuhiko's eyes, Enna was at times gentle, at times strict, and at times charming. An all-around good teacher. Yet here she was, holding a pistol. She was a completely different Enna from the one Natsuhiko had known. Professor, what on earth are you? As soon as he had that thought, he recalled the gruesome scene he saw earlier. No. Professor Tsubakiyama is not a killer. As Natsuhiko shook off that doubt that had plagued him for just a moment, Kida and Jun began to interrogate Enna.
どういうことだね? どうして君がそんなものを持っているのかね?
そうだよ。あんた教師じゃなかったの？ちょっと待って、みんな誤解しているわ。この拳銃は私の持ち物なんかじゃないの。このラボで拾ったものよ。
That sounded like a lazy excuse, but Watase told everyone to believe in her.
え、信じちゃうの？
証明できないんだからしょうがないだろう。
Eventually, at Watase's suggestion, they disassembled the gun and divided the parts between Ukita, Enna, and Jun. That still didn't clear Natsuhiko's reservations. Professor. As Watase and the others moved towards Area 6 to chase after Salu, a somewhat lonely breeze blew through Natsuhiko's mind. By the time Natsuhiko finally got his mind off Enna, Watase was already alone in Area 6's inner ring. Watase was going room to room, searching for Salu. Eventually, his eyes fell on a certain PC monitor. Test subjects in IGF-2R gene types. Subject A, hereditary IGF-2R gene abnormality type S, deceased. Subject N, hereditary IGF-2R gene abnormality type S. Subject Y, IGF-2R gene type 4, showed no signs of genetic mutation via WX particles, discarded. Subject Y2, acquired IGF-2R gene abnormality type S, natural gene abnormality type C. Y discarding equals no precedent regarding releases, expected problems, memory recovery, etc. Observation targets in IGF-2R gene type. Observation target NA, hereditary. Observation target NA2, acquired. Special observation target YU, type 4, observation target KA, type D, observation target MA, hereditary. NA subject N 2021, that's the 9 years ago. MA level 5, consider a radiation test. Ugh. Subject Y, U, September 10th, 2030. That's the start of the before route. What is this? So that's WX particles that's going through instead of radiation. Subject, IGF-2R gene? Observation target? No, more importantly. Subject Y, U, September 10th, 2030. September 10th? The day everything started changing, wasn't it? What the hell is this file? What does any of this mean? At the same time, Natsuhiko felt something off about some of those descriptors. A bizarre sight suddenly flickered in Watase's brain. That face is... Oh... What? His memories are coming back again. But why? What's bringing it back? The event took Natsuhiko by surprise, and 1 second later, Watase fled out of the room. What the hell is he doing? For some reason, Watase was in complete disarray. His mind was whirling with rage and discomfort. Once again, past memories came back. I swore I erased that memory. That memory came bursting out nevertheless. Bewildered, Watase tottered out of the stairwell. Right after that, test subjects are dangerous. Test subjects are dangerous? What's gotten into him? Natsuhiko was left in confusion as that idea rose up inside of Watase. Don't tell me. Tell me she was a test subject. Somehow reading the document provoked Watase's memories. Natsuhiko panicked and dove deeper into Watase's mind. Uh-oh. What is this? It was clear that Watase was fearfully resisting the hatred that was seething within his mind. But the jet-black hatred gradually corroded that fear, painting it out. Hatred that evolved further into murderous intent. This keeps up, Watase will revert back to how he was before then. I need to do something about his memories. No, but then... Considering the damage memory erasure inflicted upon Watase, any further memory erasure could very well kill him. Naturally, if Watase died, Natsuhiko would vanish. But what do I do? How can I seal Watase's hatred? Think, there's gotta be a way. Watase was scared of Yuuri for some reason. He hated her and wanted to murder her. Though normally he cared for her and tried to keep her safe. Each time his memories threatened to return, so too would his fear, hatred, and murderous intent. In that case, why don't I just get the jump on Watase? Give him the misconception that she's already dead. I'm sure that would erase his fear of her, as well as his hatred and murderous intent. Didn't know if it would work. But if he left things as is, Watase could very well regain his memories. Natsuhiko had no choice but to take chances with this plan. And thus Natsuhiko fabricated another memory for Watase. 5 minutes later, Watase remained frozen on the spot as if he were dead. Hey, how long do you plan to stay like that? Driven by anxiety, Natsuhiko called out to Watase.
Oi, omae! しっかりしろ! いつまで呆然としてるんだ! 早くみんなのところに行け!
Watase was shaken back to consciousness by Natsuhiko's voice. He then tottered back to the factory where everyone was waiting. Looks like it'd be best for me not to tamper with your memory any further after this. So please, Watase, don't try to regain your memory anymore. Natsuhiko prayed. But the distortion caused by his actions was soon exposed. Watase reported Yuri's death to everyone, their eyes widened in shock.
バカな、彼女が死んでるだと？
事故、他殺。
わからん。だが本当だ。あの子の死体を見つけた。
どこで見つけたの？
来てくれ。こっちだ。
It all went downhill from there.
死体がなくなってる。
やれやれ。幻覚でも見たのではないのかね？
本当なんだ。本当にここに死体が。頭から血も流して、どう見ても死んでいる彼女が。
血？どこにも血痕なんかないわよ。
Shit, how did I not see this coming? Problems kept piling on as Natsuhiko stood by, unable to do anything. The AD's gone.
そんな。
So this clearly was not Watase's doing then.
くそ、どうしてこんなことに。
どうしてだって？決まってるさ。AD を持ち去った人がいるんだ。
そうだよ。そして犯人はきっと私たちの中にいる。
いや、そんなことはありえない。俺たちの中に犯人なんていやしない。
When Watase took everyone there to dispel their suspicions, he came face to face with the truth that denied the illusion Natsuhiko had bestowed upon him.
死体見つけてない。
Watase was cast in doubt.
隊長は私たちを騙してたの？
違う。
They pressed him further.
君は要救助者を助けるため地下に降りてきたという。だがそれもまた嘘で、本当は別の目的のために降りてきたんじゃないのかね。
別の目的って。
決まってるさ。殺人のためだ。
And at the end, what Ukita and Jun thrust before Watase.
ねえ、教えてよ。隊長は人の命を救うためにここに来たんじゃないの
were glares of rage and bloodlust. Oh crap. The situation's even worse than the last time Watase was cast under doubt. Natsuhiko was painfully aware of why they doubt Watase. After all, he was kind of a terrorist. Watase had shot both him and Mashiro. Natsuhiko vividly recalled Mashiro's tearful voice and Salyu's wounded body. Now, Watase and I are in the same boat. I hate to admit it, but the current Watase is a reliable rescue worker. Now that I have no body of my own, I can't save Salyu or Yuuri without his help. So I need to do everything I can to clear this bastard of suspicion. Knew he had to, but he didn't know how. Right after that, someone completely unexpected stood up for Watase.
待ちなさい、二人とも。あなたたち少しおかしいわよ。なんなのよ。AD が亡くなった途端、手のひら返したように。それがまともな人間のすること？
No, Professor, if you stay up for Watase in this situation... Jun and Ukita glared at Enna.
今の話聞いて、どうして椿山さんは隊長の味方するの？よく知りもしない他人でしょ？まさか二人はグルだったとか？
そうか、なるほど。道理で行動がおかしいと思ったら、ようやく分かったぞ。君たちは二人だけで助かろうというつもりなんだな。
Uh-oh.
AD を隠したのは君たちか。 2人で AD を独占しているんだ。
Jun and Ukita sidled up to Watase and Anna, prompting Natsuhiko to shout a warning to Watase.
危険だ。先生を連れて逃げろ。
Hitting Natsuhiko, Watase took Anna's hand and ran.
逃げるつもり？
いかん、取り押さえろ。
With those voices at their backs, Watase and Anna fled.
見失ったか。
Watase and Anna had escaped their pursuers and were now hiding in a room in Area 2's inner ring.
行ったみたいだな。
Natsuhiko gazed at Anna through Watase's eyes. She had a tense, relentless look on her face one would never expect to see from a teacher. Professor, I can believe in you, can I? Natsuhiko thought about how much he wanted to ask her if he could, but at that moment, a strange sensation struck him. His 5 senses suddenly blurred. What? What is this feeling? I knew that there should have been light. There should have been sound, and yet...
どうして？
私も。
For some reason he couldn't perceive the world correctly. It was as if he had been struck with intense drowsiness. Oh no, my consciousness is dulling. And it was showing something to Watase. Natsuhiko couldn't tell what. That's strange. Why am I drowsy? And could this be BC energy lingering within Watase, starting to run out? Am I disappearing? Disappearing. Me. My consciousness. No way. Natsuhiko struggled to brace his fading consciousness. And rapidly,
森部も浮田のおっさんも俺を心底疑っているぞ。
だから私があの二人を説得してくるわ。
became unable to understand the subject of the conversation.
まさか一人で行くつもりか。
当たり前でしょ。あなたが一緒に来たりしたら話がややこしくなるだけだわ。
それはそうかもしれないが。
すぐに戻ってくるから。ここで待ってて。
Apparently Anna intended to leave by herself. Don't do it, Professor. That's clearly way too dangerous. Watase showed no hint of trying to stop her. Hey, I'm begging you, please stop Professor Tsubakiyama. Natsuhiko shook off his intense drowsiness and mustered all of his consciousness. The sound, the light, all 5 of his senses came back to life. At the same time, Watase sprang into action.
いや待て先生、それは危険だ。
え？
あいつらは銃の一件で先生に対してもかなり疑心を抱いている。今出て行ったら何されるかわからないぞ。
でも、だったらどうすればいいのよ。
Watase stopped Anna as she was opening the door. Whew, thank goodness. Right as Natsuhiko let himself relax. Damn it! Drowsiness once again seized him in his grasp. Natsuhiko clung to reality in a desperate attempt to prevent himself from fading away. And then... thought of a way to solve all our problems. Could no longer catch the flow of the conversation. You definitely heard Watase say that. What? Way to solve all our problems? Right then.
どうして？
Eh? And his groan snapped Natsuhiko's consciousness back to reality once more.
悪いけど、ここで少し眠っていてくれ。
Before he knew it, he saw Anna passed out through Wase's eyes.
何をしてるんだ。
Watase just left the room and destroyed its opening mechanism out in the hall. Knocking out Anna, Watase headed towards the heart of LABO. Apparently he intended to put out the fires in the nuclear reactor area all by himself. Natsuhiko desperately tried to stop him.
やめろバカ、死ぬぞ。燃える原子炉の火をたった一人で消せるわけがないだろう。仮に消火できたとしても被爆は免れないんだぞ。
誰かがやらなきゃダメなんだよ。
そんなに死にたいのか。みんなを助けるためなら死んじまってもいいってのか。
別に俺は死にたいわけじゃない。ただみんなを助けたいだけなんだよ。俺は人を助けることだけをずっと考えてきたんだ。お前にユーリを助けろって言われたあの時からだ。
Watase muttered as if he were talking to himself. Natsuhiko listened silently.
だから俺はその役目を全うしたいだけなんだよ。火や爆風や煙に覆われて無力な自分に腹を立てながらよ。AD が足りなくなりゃガスの中にも汚染区域にも飛び込んで、誰かが穴に落っこちたら手掴んで引っ張り上げて、ユーリが瓦礫に潰されそうになれば身を挺してかばって、そうして皆を助けることだけをずっと考えてきたんだよ。
The moment Watase said that, drowsiness began to eat away at Natsuhiko's consciousness once more. You could tell that this time he was fighting a losing battle to stay conscious. He would probably disappear soon after this. Watase's voice echoed as Natsuhiko's hearing deafened.
俺のせいで誰かが死ぬのは嫌なんだ。俺が行動しなかったせいで全員が命を落とすのも同じことだ。原子炉の火を消すことで皆が救われるならそうしよう。その結果、たとえ
Even if I lose my life as a result. Watase's silent determination could be felt, even in Natsuhiko's consciousness. There was no lie, no bluff, nor pretense in Watase's mind. Only the unadulterated desire to save everyone.
渡せ、お前。
Once again, Natsuhiko said those words. He finally reached his time limit. Ah, damn it. Natsuhiko cursed. He couldn't help but curse. Only you were like that from the start. Only you were a righteous rescue worker that neither me, nor Mashito, nor Sally would have had to suffer like this.
それが俺だ。笠崎渡せだ。この名を耳に焼き付けろ。脳に刻み込め。お前が死ぬその瞬間まで何度でも思い返せ。
Why, Watase? Why? What made you become a terrorist? Was the one question Natsuhiko found vexing. Watase's voice echoed from far away.
分かったろ。分かったらもう黙っていてくれ。これ以上話すと決心が鈍りそうだ。
Okay, I get it. Natsuhiko calmly prayed. I'll leave the rest to you. Leaving Sally, that girl, Professor Tsubakiyama, all in your care, okay? So please, don't let me down. Okay, Watase? Just a while later.
立花たちがやっていたように。くそ。
Though Natsuhiko's consciousness was supposedly gone for good, he heard a voice.
頼む。死なないでくれ。
And in his nearly faded consciousness, he rapidly began to regain sight. He had no idea what was going on. Just that he was face to face with himself.
やった。
With a sigh of relief, Watase held his hand up to Natsuhiko's mouth. Could feel a faint breath on its palm. I'm breathing? Natsuhiko blanked out for a few seconds, but the truth of the situation finally hit him. You mean my body's still alive? But how? How could I have survived with all those bullet wounds? No, more importantly, wasn't a nuclear reactor supposed to have melted down here? So shouldn't that have killed me long ago? Then why? What the hell's going on? Am I dreaming? The sensations he felt through Watase's body were no doubt reality. The stench of blood drifting in the air, the numbness of his skin, the intense headaches. He could feel his entire body convulsing. It's not a dream. What's going on with me now? Did Watase save me from the brink of death with CPR? Natsuhiko's body was alive, yet its consciousness was still inside Watase, which in Natsuhiko's mind could only mean one thing. I see, so maybe. The climax of their fight, Natsuhiko destroyed Watase's memory. But the Phantom Yuuri said this back then.
コミュニケーターの行き着くところ、エンパシーの先にある能力、心と心をつなぐ力。
Indeed, this third ability of the third ability of BC was not memory destruction. It was the power to connect minds. When Natsuhiko destroyed Watase's memories, their minds were connected. Basically, it's not that my BC energy is lingering inside Watase. It's that our minds have been connected through BC this entire time. Regardless of whether Watase was awake or knocked out. That would explain why Natsuhiko was able to interfere with Watase's mind and memory. The question still remained as to how he was still alive. If this really were a nuclear reactor area, then I definitely would have died ages ago. Which means there wasn't a nuclear reactor here? But in that case, what the hell is this place? Just then, after he had finished resuscitating Natsuhiko, Watase discovered something.
これは
Watase picked up the pistol that was lying next to Natsuhiko. Right as Watase felt its heft. You damn monster. You have to get away, as far away as possible. Watase's memory of back then started coming back.
なんだ今のは
Bewildered by the flashback, Watase stared at Natsuhiko with gaping eyes. Oh crap. But immediately afterwards, Watase himself denied the memories that were trying to come back.
バカなそんなことがあるわけがないとにかく彼をどこか安全な場所へ
Just as Watase thought this. Sally charge! He saw Sally rushing towards him, axe in hand. Watase's and Sally's hectic scuffle began. I don't know if the scene names directly correspond to past scenes in both routes, but they've all been something lowercase / something uppercase. And everything on before was lowercase, everything on after was uppercase. So current is really the perfect fusion of the two. Sally attacked Watase with the axe. Watase took a swift kick to the temple, but he found an opening and tackled Sally with the force of a bullet, and straddled her. That supposedly dominant position didn't last long. Sally struck Watase in the eyes, temporarily blinding him. Sally slipped her body out from under him.
まずい今距離を取られたら
Watase blindly reached out in the darkness and grabbed Sally by the clothes. Watase felt Sally lose her balance.
ここで倒してしまわなければ
Watase's mind filled with a sense of violence and looming danger. Natsuhiko quickly shouted at him.
やめろ彼女を傷つけるな
His voice appeared to get through. Watase avoided hitting Sally but instead slipped around behind her. Applied pressure to Sally's neck, mindful of how much strength to use. Go to sleep. Watase's sight soon came back. Natsuko could tell that Sally was passed out cold in Watase's grip. The sight of her chest slowly rising and falling made it apparent that her life was not in danger. Thank goodness. Watase carried Natsuhiko and Sally as the boy sighed to himself. As Watase left Area N, he found Kazumi standing there. Two of them then carried Natsuhiko and Sally on over to the infirmary immediately. Once they finally arrived at the infirmary, Watase and Kazumi began Natsuhiko's blood transfusion.
夏彦の容体はどうなんだ助かりそうか
Obviously, the before side of the scene name has no scene it ties to, being that before did not cover these events. So it only makes sense that this is just
呼吸、脈拍ともに極めて微弱。しかし、バイタルサインはかろうじて安定。予断を許さない状況ではありますが、このまま輸血を続ければなんとかなりそうです。
Though Natsuhiko was relieved to hear Kazumi's words, he couldn't help but think, still, how did I survive for so long in that state? Now that it had been established that there was no nuclear reactor in Area N, he understood that his body had not been affected by radiation. Natsuhiko had been inflicted with some serious wounds that put him at such obvious risk for death by blood loss. Could it possibly have something to do with how I've been connected with Watase through PC the entire time? He had no other hunches. But he did remember what he learned in class a few days ago. Now that I think about it, when we practiced telepathy in the BC room, didn't Professor Tsubakiyama say?
BC の使用のため重要となるのは言うまでもなく集中五感とは違う第六の感覚を引き出すためには常識を超えた集中力が必要なのよ。BC を使用するほどの極度の集中がなされると代わりに五感が減衰すると言われています。場合によっては体温や脈拍の低下など生命反応さえ弱まることも。その境地に達した時脳の新たな力が発揮され BC の世界の扉が開くのよ。
I see. I get it now. Using BC, depending on the situation, the five senses can dampen and vital signs, like breathing and pulse, can decrease. Well, the answers were there. Ever since I lost consciousness back then, I've been connected to Watase through BC. So in other words, my brain's been concentrating this entire time for the continuous use of BC. As a result, my body's respiration and pulse have decreased dramatically. When Natsuhiko had used long-distance telepathy on Mashiro, his face had gone pale. Use of BC's third ability likely required even more extreme concentration from the brain. Enough to cause the body to go into hibernation. You see, that's how my body was able to minimize blood loss despite being shot by Watase so many times. By the time Natsuhiko finally reached that conclusion, a sound rang out from behind Watase. Watase turned around and found Ukita standing in the doorway to the infirmary.
おやおや、これは隊長さんに副隊長さん。物音がするから来てみれば、君らは何をやっているのかね
A series of events beyond Natsuhiko's imagination unfold.
脆弱な正義と笑うがいいさ。だがこれが僕の選択だ。君を殺してこの状況が終わるならそうしよう。一生に一度くらいは罪に手を染めてでも。
Mr. Ukita's resorting to coercive tactics to put the blame on Watase.
君の任務はここで終わりだ。死ねえ裏切り者！
隊長、危ない！
僕は必ず君を裁いてやる。そのことを忘れるな。
Mr. Mr. Okita. He's calling Watase a traitor, then does that mean Mr. Okita really was the sleeper agent after all? Why? I wanted to trust him.
とにかくすぐにこの場所から移動しよう。おっさんに知られてしまった以上、いつまでもここに留まっているのは危険だからな。
Just the thought of that one meme. Oh no! Anyway, we gotta get out of here.
それに先生も危ない。
Professor Tsubakiyama's gone.
誰がこんなことを、どうやってこの扉を破壊した？
What the hell happened here? Did somebody take Professor Tsubakiyama away?
嫌な予感がします。逃げましょう、隊長。
Please be safe. Please be safe, Professor. As Watase and Cosme ran aimlessly, they reached the connecting passageway to Area 1. Waiting for them there was...
一体どこに？そうだ。やっぱりそうなんだよ。だったらもう仕方ない。そうしなきゃみんなを守れない。私があいつを殺さなきゃ。
Why? Why is Jun bleeding from the head? What's she doing with that engine cutter? As they ran away from Jun, Cosme muttered in blank amazement.
どうしてこんなことに。仲間に追われて逃げ場もなくて。
Those words gave Natsuhiko some food for thought. That's strange. Mr. Okita was like that too. I'd never have expected Jun to act that way, no matter how suspicious Watase acted. What's with those two? It's like they're the same as Watase was back then. What's going on here? How the hell can we survive in this mess? Then Watase spoke.
諦めるな。まだ俺たちは生きている。救うべき相手もいる。だから最後の最後まであがいて諦めるのはその後にしよう。
Those words encouraged Natsuhiko's consciousness. Soon enough, they headed to the engine room and searched their last sliver of hope, where they found
WX 粒子増幅器運用マニュアル。これだ。
WX Particle Amplifier Operation Manual. The document is an instruction manual for the WX Particle Amplifier. Due to the fact that there is great danger involved in its operation, please read the manual carefully before you proceed. Furthermore, the properties of WX particles have extremely harmful effects to the body. Dysthesia, brain dysfunctions, genetic abnormalities. Symptoms are dependent on the level of particle energy listed below. Without AD. 0 to 2000, no effects. 2 to 4, dysthesia, nausea, headaches, genetic abnormalities. 4 to 8, brain dysfunctions, faint consciousness. 8, up, unconsciousness. The intensity and probability of displaying the aforementioned symptoms vary depending on the energy levels. With AD 0 to 6, no effects. 6 to 8, all the effects. 8 to 12, worse effects. 12, unconsciousness. AD adds up to 4000 millisivil protection, hence the increased levels. Using the amplifier normally, the particle energy levels should not exceed 2000. Used for advanced experiments, the particle energy levels should not exceed 4000. Does WX particle amplifier refer to that machine in Area N? Does that mean it's not radiation spreading through LABO, but these WX particles instead? Various doubts welled up within Natsuhiko's consciousness, but Watase was focused on finding something else.
冷却水に関する記述はないか。これだ。やはり脱出口はここしかない。
Stop the coolant device, go through the drainage pipe to contact the outside, and lead a rescue team back in. That was the plan Watase had thought of to save everyone. Then gathered all the necessary tools and swam in the pipe by himself to seek help. However...
隊長！もう戻られたのですか？
すまない立花。パイプの中に障害物があった。6名庫まではたどり着けない。
His plan resulted in failure. Damn it. Just when I finally thought we had a glimmer of hope.
もう一度最初に立ち返ってみよう。第2エリアの非常階段にある隔壁、あれを開ける方法を考えるんだ。
No sooner had they reached the bulkhead than did all of LABO switch from main to emergency power. That moment, Sally woke up and bared her fangs at Kasumi.
夏彦を解放して。でないとこの女の息の根を止める。
Sally!
やめろ、サリュ。俺たちは君たちを救いたいだけなんだ。どうしてそれを分かろうとしない？
Watase frantically tried to talk some sense into the bloodthirsty Sally, but she just gave him a pointed glare.
だから見えすいた嘘はやめろと言っている。あなたの夏彦を撃ったくせに。
今何を？
女、あなたは知らなかったの？
嘘ですよね。隊長がそんなことするはずないですよね。
Watase gasped at Kasumi's words. At that moment, memories of back then had flickered inside Watase's head once more. Crap, at this rate, Watase might regain his memory. What do? Go back to my body and try to persuade Sallyu? Wait, but would it be safe to suddenly return to my body when it's barely recovered from the brink of death? My body's condition suddenly worsens once it gets out of hibernation. As Natsuhiko hesitated, Sallyu addressed Kasumi.
よく見て。あの男の懐にあるものを。
She was, of course, referring to the gun that Watase had picked up in Area N.
あれはおそらくこの男の持ち物。夏彦はあの銃で撃たれて。
Right when Sallyu said that, Kasumi violently shook her off. Sallyu's body flew through the air. Eh? All Natsuhiko could do was watch the whole thing from beginning to end. Sally proceeded to tumble down the staircase. She finally stopped at the landing of the stairs on B1. She wasn't budging an inch. Sallyu! Watase frantically ran over to Sallyu and checked her condition. Her life wasn't in danger, but she appeared to be completely knocked out. Damn it, if only I hadn't hesitated to go back to my body. As Natsuhiko wallowed in regret for not trying to persuade Sallyu sooner, Kasumi descended the stairs with unsteady feet.
隊長、三宮さん。
大丈夫。気を失っているだけだ。
そうですか。
Kasumi's body shook as she spoke. Something was off about her. Kasumi looked at Watase and spoke.
隊長、もう一度だけ質問してもよろしいでしょうか。
なんだ。
解けていなかった疑問があるんです。隊長はこの事故が起きた直後の6時42分頃、どうして？
それはだから堂島と檜山に無線で呼ばれて。
だったら無線は通じていたということですよね。だけど隊長。
Oh, that's a mistake on Natsuhiko's part.
私はね、その少し前に隊長に無線通信を試みていたんですよ。
6:42 a.m. That was one of the memories Natsuhiko casually bestowed upon Watase when falsifying his memories. As Miss Tachibana had been doubting Watase this entire time. That doubt wasn't unwarranted. The lost and imperfect recovery of memory, hallucinations, falsehoods, a pistol. Watase could answer none of these lingering questions of hers. Watase was extremely suspicious, but for Kasumi to have followed him this far was probably a testament to just how much she trusted him. That last thing Sallyu said must have been,
あなたの夏彦を撃ったくせに。
that last statement must have been enough to shatter Kasumi's trust.
私、必死に隊長を信じようとしていたんです。ずっと昔からあなたを信じ続けていたんです。だけど
立花。
できないのよ、渡瀬。さっきの三宮さんの話が本当だとしたら、何もかも辻褄が合ってしまうの。 この施設の正体、以前のあなた。それを考えると答えは一つなのよ。
What's going on? At the moment, Natsuhiko felt an intense uneasiness. He could understand why Kazumi would doubt Watase, but the extent of her doubt was blatantly abnormal.
あなたが殺したのなら、せめてあなたの名誉のために。
As Kazumi kept muttering incomprehensibly, she reached out for a nearby fire extinguisher.
あなたは道をたどってしまった。その報いを受ける時が来たの。
A second later, Kazumi swung the fire extinguisher horizontally, but Watase quickly blocked it with his arm.
よせ立花、なぜこんなことを。
渡瀬、ごめんなさい。渡瀬、私にはもうこうするしかできることがないの。
With one look into her eyes, Natsuhiko was convinced. She's the same. She's the same as Mr. Ukita and Jun. At that moment, Watase quickly thrust Kazumi away. She fell on the staircase with the fire extinguisher still in hand. Watase took that opportunity to carry Natsuhiko's body down to the second basement level and rush out of the stairwell.
くそ、どうなってやがるんだ。
Thoughts raced through Natsuhiko as Watase shouted that. What in the world is going on? Why is everyone acting crazy all of a sudden? Even Miss Tachibana. Something suspicious was happening, but Natsuhiko didn't know what. By the time he reached Area N, Watase was already tattered and beaten. Kazumi had struck him in the arm with the fire extinguisher. Jun appeared and he had to run away. Kita shot him in the flank. Once he finally arrived in Area N, what was waiting for him was abnormal symptoms including skin discomfort, headache, and convulsing fingertips. No, Watase, it's too dangerous here. The manual they'd found in the ancient room even had this to say. Unconsciousness. Contamination level in Area N was far beyond that. If the contamination level's that high, then that device inside here really must be that WX particle amplifier. This device, the reason the facility's MSV values have been increasing. Once Natsuhiko was convinced of that connection, a sudden realization hit him. AD. Tokian. Contaminated zone. WX particle amplifier. WX particle. BC's third ability. Scattered puzzle pieces inside Natsuhiko rapidly connected into one. I've got it. I've solved one of the mysteries. The answer he finally found was the true nature of this facility. I've been connected to Watase for 6 hours using BC's third ability. But whenever he administered AD, the connection would halt. When he entered a contaminated zone, it would resume. Okay. In other words, the AD that LABO made is a drug that inhibits my BC abilities. Oh. Well, I mean, that was obvious, but I didn't think it was directly Natsuhiko. WX particles spreading around LABO have the opposite effect as AD. They augment my BC abilities. And the dead center of the high-security LABO was a WX particle amplifier. And the Prokia, the device that measured the WX particles, was built by LABO as well. Prokia, the AD, the WX particles, everything relates to BC. Which means LABO. Rokumi City's 7 Wonders. Number 1. LABO does not conduct nuclear power research. They research arms production and other dangerous national matters. LABO does not conduct nuclear power research. Other dangerous national matters. So LABO really isn't a nuclear power research lab at all. It's a facility for researching WX particles and BC abilities. Natsuhiko finally arrived at the truth at that very same moment. Kazumi appeared on the other side of the still open gate. The fire extinguisher was still in her hands. Watase panicked and operated the terminal. The gate quickly began to close. Before it could finish, Kazumi slipped through. Oh god, and swung the fire extinguisher down right on Watase's head. Sparks filled his vision and his body shook left and right. Watase mustered with the last of his strength and pushed Kasumi right out of Area N. Kasumi's voice drowned out behind the gate. At the same time, Watase crumpled down, sending Natsuhiko's body flinging off of him. Watase's consciousness faded. Several questions flickered in his mind. Why did he lose his memory? Why were the nine of them locked inside this facility? Why did that survivor keep running away from him? Why was there no fire and no nuclear reactor in Area N? Rather, Natsuhiko on the brink of death instead. Why did Yuri's body disappear? Several answers to those questions lay within Natsuhiko. The amnesia and the contradictory memories were caused by Natsuhiko's abilities. The reason Sally ran away from Watase was obviously because he was a terrorist. The reason Yuuri ran away was probably the same. The reason why there were no fires and no nuclear reactor in Area N was because the facility researched WX particles in BC. Even Natsuhiko had 6 lingering questions of his own that he could not solve. Who conducted the murders inside LABO? Who was the girl killed in front of the cargo lift? Who was the girl called Yuuri, who looked exactly like the Yuuri he knew? Who took away the stockpile of AD? Where did Anna go? What he understood the least was, why did those 3 people go mad one by one? Thought he heard someone whisper, "Try to remember." Felt like a voice rising up from Natsuhiko's heart of hearts. That's right, try to remember. The answer has to be in something I've seen so far. Answer to the unsolved mystery. That thought in mind, Natsuhiko recalled Rokame City's 7 wonders. Number 5. If a communicator uses BC without knowing the proper way, they will eventually turn into a mind-broken monster. Exposure to WX particles? 6. Monstrified people are captured by a secret task force working under Rokame City's security department and are imprisoned underground. If the communicator excessively misuses BC, the target's mind will eventually break. Natsuhiko couldn't understand why he was suddenly reminded of those wonders. However, all those are true then. There's a monster locked underground here, causing everyone's minds to go crazy then. There's too out there to call it a theory. There's nothing more than a simple guess. Natsuhiko thought. I don't know if monsters like that exist. Oh, who's at fault here? No, what the hell's going on here? He knew that he couldn't let it end like this. There was no way he could leave things as is without understanding a thing. Then I'll investigate. Find out exactly what's going on here. I can't leave everything to Watase anymore. I can't remain a mere spectator. Throwing down the gauntlet. If the 2 of us work together, we can do this. Nobody made his brave decision. Natsuhiko's consciousness returned to his body. His own 5 senses returned. His sight, his hearing, his touch, his smell, his taste, and his pain awoke inside his body. Immediately afterwards, he felt a burning pain singe through his bullet wounds. It was genuine pain that he had to grit his teeth to bear. Natsuhiko bore the pain nonetheless, focused all the strength he could muster into his heavy limbs, and slowly but surely he stood up. The blood transfusion needle fell out, but he paid no heed to that, and stepped up to Watase. When he heard Natsuhiko's footsteps, Watase peeled his heavy eyes open.
立て。まだ何も終わってない。
6 towering devices stood in the vast Area N. As they made their mechanical whirring sounds, an intense, resolute voice shook the cool air.
お前と僕でみんなをこの悪夢から救うんだ。
That That is the end. I should say the beginning of the end. We've answered some questions. Yeah, it's... Still have some completely unknown characters in here. Ojima, Hiyama. We have Miyoko's co-workers. Chuya Araguchi, Ryoken Kashiwagi, various others. Play within a play. So the odd memories, odd hallucinations, they were all Natsuhiko's fault, pretty much. I suppose, in essence, what this round did for us was dispel the mysteries of the after route that were ultimately irrelevant. That being Natsuhiko's voice in Watase. Which I wouldn't say that's irrelevant, that's a big part of Natsuhiko's journey. But Watase's memories, his headaches, his collapses, his encounter with Yuuri, his odd encounters with other memories, vague memories of experiments going on. That is one factor that we never got back to in after. So ultimately, I have a feeling that's what we're going to focus on now. Yeah, it pretty much did a pretty firm job of laying out exactly what the remaining issues are that aren't answered by Natsuhiko fucking around with Watase's memories. I suppose ultimately that was a reveal too, that with Natsuhiko observing Watase, we really didn't have anything to do with the missing AD. That does raise interesting questions with regards to I completely blanked out there. That does raise questions with regards to what exactly happened with everyone losing their heads like this. Is this Yuuri somehow a remnant of old LABO experiments? There was a subject N that we've just talked about too. We've obviously seen that whole list of other subjects. Seems like they're obviously trying to create some kind of genetic mutation via exposure to WX particles. Time to focus on Watase's memories of that time. One time in the office. The log prologue. Right then. LABO's basement floors.
許さないぞ裏切り者め。僕が絶対にお前を裁いてやるからな。
Man spat out repeated words of resentment.
命を捨てるってどうして
Good thing Anna hasn't been infected. Woman wandered around in search of another man.
あいつを殺さなきゃ。私がやらなきゃダメなんだ。
Who let Anna out? The young rescue worker hardened her heart with murderous intent.
ええ、分かってるわ。あの人を救えるのは私だけだもん。
Skilled rescue worker exchanged words with someone. Oh. Remember, Kazumi did lose her little sister in a fire. 9 years ago? Sadly awakens. The girl who had fainted got up with vacant eyes. Mashino was still in the elevator. The girl called out a boy's name. Not a single one of the 9 noticed. At further underground, inside a cage constructed beneath their feet. Final bomb full of malice was lying, hiding in wait for its time to come, and as if time were repeating itself. The girl who supposedly died 9 years ago slowly awoke. What?
私は
She soon remembered what had happened to her and why she had been asleep there.
光
Voice trembled in the darkness.
光助けて
There were 3 more hours until the lockdown was lifted. Her wish would soon pass through the darkness. Oh, fuck. What the fuck is that? Oh, son of a bitch. Continuation.
少年はすべての謎を解くため
3 hours left until
傷
the
だらけ
lockdown
の
lives.
体で立ち上がった。力尽き倒れた男は再び目覚めよと呼ぶ声を聞いた。混迷を極める状況下で2人は力を合わせることを決意した。覚醒する少年の真の能力、ついに蘇る男の記憶、知り得なかった9人の過去と明らかになる真の敵。
The unveiled face of their true
彼らの
enemy.
歪ませた怪物の正体と闇の中で9つの信念が交錯するとき、彼らは再び命の選択を迫られる。ルートダブル、ビフォアクライム、アフターデイズ。ルートダブル。
Double.
誰かのために全てを壊すのか、全てのために誰かを殺すのか。
To the next route. Fuck yes. Investigation through recurrence. Answer mode, we only have one answer, but I suppose in that sense, we could actually see. We have 4 answers, 3, and then nothing. Yeah, so pretty much what we expected. Lines up with the 4 options available in the after route. Let's see. 4, current, ABC, double. Holy fuck, that's a lot of endings. Fuck yes. The boy lifts his wounded body, determined to solve the mysteries. Awake calls a voice once more to the man who has fallen. The boy's true power awakened. Man's memories resurrected. 9 trapped souls' unknown pasts and their true foe's face revealed. Time and perspectives overlap. Their senses of justice are at odds. Disparate morals clash. The answers to guide them overlap in a place as yet unknown. Whose will shall at last decide the final decision to be made? The final decision? What could that entail? It seems like we're going to be deep diving into everyone's backstory to pull out some yet unveiled, yet unknown facts. We're finally getting that full Anna backstory. Oh boy. We're getting true Watase back. Hopefully able to grow from this. Yuuri's been kidnapped. Our unknown force, deep down, is presumably the one responsible for taking the AD. Oh boy. The conclusion we're coming to is that, well, hopefully we're coming to, not all communicators are monsters, just this one is a gross outlier? Question mark? Don't know. There is very clearly some true enemy to be revealed. As if everything that's been set up has anything to go by. But, oh boy. Looks like we got a lot to go. Shared perspective. Got a ton of tips to go. 25 out of 39 endings. Over 50% seen titles. We're halfway there. Yep, all endings of before, all endings of after. And the rest looks like double. Alright, on that note, the real game begins now. Until then.